we're very excited that time is flying, you know. When you're making plans to attend an event, I know a lot of things fall into play. You know, who's going to take care of the wife? Who's going to take care of the husband, the kids, the boyfriend, the girlfriend? How are you getting there? Where are you staying? You know, there are a lot of things that you need to put into action in order to attend an event. That's why we created Voiceover Mastery in the convenient place of Studio City, California, which is in Los Angeles. I don't know how many folks on the line are local, so you would have a really good idea of how convenient Studio City is, whether you live on the other side of the hill, on the west side, or near the beach, or out in the Inland Valley. You can get to Studio City pretty easily. And the hotel we've chosen is pretty exciting, the Sportsman's Lodge. It's legendary. It's been there forever. Super comfortable. When I select a venue for Voiceover Mastery, I take a couple of things into consideration, and that is, how are we going to get through our day? Are we going to be able to have all of our coaches and presenters? Everyone will be comfortable. How can we set up a room so that it doesn't feel like, you know, you're in stadium seats or anything, where everyone will have a table and a chair? And we have our wonderful friends at True Alka Water, Debbie Nodelman, who is going to be our exclusive water provider for VOMastery. And if you know anything about True Alka Water, it's actually a balanced pH, which is kind of high because for those of us that are super into our physical health, taking care of our body, our throat, our tool, you know, this is how we make our money. One of the things that I found that is working for me, and that is the quest to alkalize and to keep my body as alkaline as possible. I know I'm getting off the subject of VOMastery, but I was excited about the True Alka Water that we're going to be providing for you. And we will talk about body care, throat care, health care, because I know a lot of folks may be traveling, and now is the time of year where people are getting sick. So eliminate sugar. If you're feeling challenged, no sugar, no cheating, no orange juice. A lot of people think if you're getting sick, you should load up on vitamin C, and it's true, but take vitamin C in other forms, capsules, or the emergency that you can put in water, as opposed to the orange juice, because that creates phlegm and mucus, and that's where bad stuff can start growing. So I always say no
I
sugar.
can chime in too. There's an ester C pill
Oh,
version
ester C.
of vitamin C for those that may be a little sensitive to the acidity in orange juice or other citrus fruits.
Right.
Ester C would be a great.
Okay, yeah. And you need to take at least 2,000 milligrams. I like to, if I'm feeling like I'm going south, I take 2,000 milligrams an hour. And I only do that just until the point where you feel like your stomach's going a little funny from having too much of it. That's exactly where you should keep it. I think the boost of vitamin C can kick your immune into gear a little higher. Anyway, so, oh, and the third thing to avoid, orange juice, sugar, and ice cream, any kind of dairy. Just take those out of your diet for right now, especially if you're planning to come to Los Angeles or to attend VOMastery. We want everyone in the room as healthy as possible. And I think if you go through that regimen right now, you will be good to go by the time we get there. Plus, my favorite oil in the world, Thieves by Young Living Organic Essential Oils. We're going to be making you a Thieves tea. It's a cinnamon, clove. We sweeten it with honey and hot water. It's delicious, and that's how we get through our day at VOMastery. So I'm excited because as we draw closer every week, we just picked up a new special guest this past week. So I don't know that we've made such a big deal about announcing him, but he certainly is worth spending time in front of to talk about his incredible career. And I'm talking about Jim Cummings, the voice of Winnie the Pooh. So, oh, Shovita, why don't you come on and let everybody know the event. We've got the hotel rooms standing by for everyone. Media City Sound, how are we doing with our special Thursday night event? We only are allowing 20 folks to come into it because it's a hands-on recording studio experience. How are we doing with that?
That's right, Rand. We're really excited for Media City Sound to partner with us and offer their space to allow special guests to come in and join us for Thursday night, where we'll have in-studio recording sessions. By the way, it'll be 4 hours jam-packed of information with a top LA agent, yourself, along with Melissa Disney will be offering that interactive, in-depth in-studio recording session to, help the attendees engage and really develop their recording skills so when they are auditioning, they're at the top of their game. So that's really exciting. And as you mentioned, Rand, yes, seats are very limited. We only have space for 20. So if you're thinking about this, you need to make a decision now, sooner than later, because once we sell out, we can't fit more than 20 people in a room. So we want to have you there.
Right. And the way that works is we are limiting our seats for Voiceover Mastery on Friday night, November 11th. I mean, on all day Friday, November 11th. There's only a limited number of seats. We're not going beyond that because that's part of what creates not only the exclusiveness of Voiceover Mastery, but the inclusiveness. So I would suggest, as you're putting things in order to decide, are you going to attend Voiceover Mastery? Were you nominated for a SOVAS award? I know a lot of our attendees are nominated, and some really good friends of mine are nominated. So we're welcoming them as well. And then there's another event going on between SOVAS and That's Voiceover. That's Voiceover is the Saturday thing, and Voiceover Mastery is Friday. So there's really a lot to choose from. When I spoke to Joan and Rudy from That's Voiceover and SOVAS about the fact that I was going to bring my event and put it at the front end because they chose Saturday and Sunday, friends of mine have said, wow, why are you doing your event so close to theirs? And truly, it's because I feel that the attendees, the folks that are looking for this level of instruction from Voiceover Mastery, and you're spending the money to come in because you've been nominated for a SOVAS award, I want to make sure that if you wanted to attend Voiceover Mastery, that we're there for you, that it's not a conflict. There are 3 separate days of events, and it's pretty incredible if you think about voiceover in general, just having such an exciting event-filled weekend. A lot to do, a lot of friends that you can run into, and it's the community that we love. But I was thinking that with all of this, that's a big expense. You have to decide what's worth it, where do you want to spend your money. But then I also want to talk about that I come from a place where I really believe that the universe supports you. If you make the declaration, I want to go to Los Angeles, I'm going to go to Voiceover Mastery, I'm going to go to SOVAS, whatever it is that you want to do during the course of that weekend, I think if you make that declaration and you have that vision, that miracles can happen, like that check that you've been waiting for from that client that you've been writing and calling because they haven't paid you. That could come in the mail tomorrow. I always believe that the universe can show up for us with little miracles, and in this case, sometimes a miracle is money. It's a reason that you can actually take that trip to Los Angeles. For those of you that are coming in from San Diego and outside LA, the parking at the hotel is absolutely free. But I just want to get back to not worrying about money. I mean, we all worry about money, and I am no different from you. I have to work for a living. There's no one supporting me if I don't book, and if I'm not working every day, I don't know who's going to pay my bills. So I have to operate in my life on trust that, I'm doing the best I can. I'm studying. I'm updating my website. I am working with a private coach. And I'm not just talking in general about where attendees should be at. This is what I'm doing. I have a coach as well. I am updating my website. I'm always creating new content and working on developing my reads so that what the the buyers are listening to that I present, they're going, I like her. She doesn't sound like she did 5 years ago. She's sounding very current right now. I like this read. These are the things that you have to work on as a voice actor. You can never have someone say, oh, Randy Thomas, yeah, I know what she sounds like. I want them to know, no, the times change, reads change. I am on it, and I have changed too. So we're all working toward the same goal. I may have an agent, and I may do different kinds of work than you do, but we're all trying to get more work, a better class of work, and work that really fulfills us, that makes us feel good. So that's why I
I
was
love
able.
that, Randy.
Oh, thank
Speaking of
you.
your website, I want you to talk a little bit more about how you're incorporating VoiceAM into your website as well, because I know you're working on adding the player in. So tell us a little bit more about how that process is working for you, because you're mentioning, hey, look, you still have to brand yourself, you still got to hit the ground running, and you still
Right.
got to put in the work. So tell us about how VoiceAM is helping you to put the control in your hand.
Well, I love Bob Merkel because when I started having conversations with him about VoiceZam, I wanted him to understand what my experience had been in the past. And that is that I have lots of work that I've done that is worthy of going on to my demo. So in that case, it's a question of writing the buyer or whoever I worked for and asking them for a copy. But then I'm also developing new copy and reading new pieces. And I always want to move things around. But when you work with an editor or a producer to do that, they're organizing it in a linear fashion, and then you have to hire them again so that they can move things around unless you're super techie. But if you're not and you're still a little unsure in the editing area, VoiceAm has taken all the guesswork out of it. The player is really cute, and as your demo plays, it's showing what the name of that client was, or you get to label it, as a matter of fact. So I have been taking my demos, listening to them, getting an opinion, and then it would be like, no, that piece right there, the first one, it would really sound better if it was third, because the second piece is real. And so you get to play with it, and you get to really be involved in creating the best demos you can. What I like is that you can skin the demos, meaning whatever the look of your website is, you can skin it to have the same colors, the same patterns, whatever it is, and it looks like it was made for your website. So Bob Merkel is going to be doing a demonstration of VoiceSam, and I will also be showing you how that works in the weeks to come. I wanted to talk about VoiceSam, and of course when I think about VoiceSam and I think about organizing my demos and whatnot, I think about J. Michael Collins, because J. Michael is a dear friend. We've known each other for just a few years now. He came to Voiceover Mastery last year and gave a dynamic presentation on union work and voiceover work versus non-union. And today in our conversation, we actually took that a little bit further. So I'm about to play that call for you. But it was through J. Michael, and I'll talk about it in the call, that I let him do industrial demos for me. It wasn't something that I had really had on my website. As a union player, it's not where I ever thought I would get work. But I'm really happy with the demos he produced, and I feel that they're going to absolutely get me work. We talk about, okay, Randy, you're union and you can get non-union industrial work. How do you make that work for yourself? We get payroll companies, and they can turn that job into a union job for me. And that's what J. Michael is going to talk about at Voiceover Mastery, because he has become a master of the pay-to-play system that seems to exist for non-union, or whether you're repped or not, if you don't have an agent, or maybe you do.
One of the very exciting things about the event is going to be the Scott Carty Party. I know you and Scott have great history together as well, and we're going to be doing a special event around that Friday evening. And for those that can't make the full day event on Friday, you're welcome to join us from 6 to 9 after we finish to enjoy some cocktails, networking with the pros. They'll be sticking around, so that'll be really great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Scott's the guy that you sort of throw it to when you want someone to be charming, handsome, funny. He's an amazing host and as an entertainment reporter that travels all over the world interviewing the top celebrities on the planet. He's the person I like out there interviewing you. When you come, we talk to you. We ask you how your experience is. If you want to share anything about what our event is like. And he also will interview all of our VO celebrities. So it's so jam-packed with celebrities. I mean, have we told you who's coming? We have James Arnold Taylor doing our keynote. No one more exciting and better to start the day. J. Michael Collins talking about the business of voiceover. Debbie Derryberry showing us how to use characters in our animation, video game, narration work. She is really great at helping you develop some funny characters that you can call on when you're doing commercials. E.G. Daly, Jess Harnell, Tara Strong, Jim Cummings. I want to pinch myself when I think about the fact that these folks are all going to be in a room on November 11th exclusively for voiceover mastery. Joe Cipriano, Melissa Disney, Sylvia Viagran. We have all of these folks. But right now, we'll talk about Scott later. Maybe he'll jump on the phone with us. Let's check out the phone call with J. Michael Collins.
Hi, J. Michael Collins. Welcome aboard the Friday night free webinar for Voiceover Mastery. And Shovita, our event director, is here as well. So great.
Hello. J.
Hi,
Michael,
everybody.
I'm so excited you're coming back this year. It was a pleasure working with you last year.
No, it's a pleasure. It was all mine, and I'm so thrilled to be back at VOMastery and anything in the orbit of the lovely and legendary Randy Thomas. It's always an honor to be a part of.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, J. Michael. We've been watching your career for several years now as you came onto the scene as a voice actor and as a peer for all of us. But it didn't take long before you sort of separated yourself from the pack in that you are an entrepreneur at heart. You're probably one of the hardest working voice actors I've seen. You are always working, always auditioning, always broadening your areas in voiceover to find more success at all different levels. And you bring so much to voiceover mastery. And I just want to hear about you and your last year. Let's talk about, you've got a baby, the dynamic has changed, priorities in your life obviously has changed. So talk to us a little bit about your path and what's going on right now and what you're going to bring to VO Mastery.
Well, I'm definitely blessed to have a beautiful son, and he's 3.5. We put him up in a Minions costume on Facebook today for everybody to just quickly as possible because we post so many baby pictures. But it's definitely been a blessing and an interesting change because, like you said, I've already got such a full schedule and I work so much that now we have a child, and balancing that. Fortunately, we have some help, but balancing that with everything else is really an undertaking. But it is a blessing. I'm looking forward to coming back to VOMastery. Like you said, one of the things that I really do focus on and that I teach and that I like to talk about when I'm coaching and when I'm dealing with other talent is how important it is to be a business person first and an artist and a talent second, which is not to say we don't take seriously the performance side of our craft, but we have to remember that we're a brand. We are responsible for all of our own marketing, for all of our own lead generation, for building a business from the ground up for people who are just starting. And if you lose sight of the business side of our industry and what we do for a living, it almost doesn't matter how talented you are. The industry has changed so much. 20 years ago, when the majority of the work was concentrated on the coasts and was being run through, a large handful of different agencies and different casting directors and means of hiring, talent were still being discovered. Agents were still looking for new people to add to their roster and helping to foster talent build a career from start to finish. Some still do that, but the market has changed so much because technology has made it so accessible to people all across the country. And it's also expanded our industry dramatically with companies and industries that would never have considered using voiceover before, now looking to have voice on their products, and especially with online videos and e-learning and parts of the narration field that are growing dramatically. So it's a different dynamic today because the concept of being discovered doesn't really exist anymore. You have to make yourself visible. You have to present yourself in a manner that is interesting and is attractive to buyers. So one of the things I'm going to talk about, in fact, the primary focus of my talk at VOMastery is going to be about the business of the business. And this encompasses everybody. There are so many different paths to success in voiceover, and many of them intersect in ways that people don't realize. Everything from union to non-union to casting directors, agents, production companies, pay-to-play. There, and even freelance sites and other places where you can source work. There's so many different avenues today to find work. And again, your own marketing, your own lead generation. And whether you are union or non-union, whether you're new to the business or you've been doing it for 10 or 15 years, there's still so much to learn about how you can source new business because it's changing on a daily basis. And there's, everybody has different dreams and different passions in voiceover. I've never been a coastal guy with New York or LA. I've always kind of marched to the beat of my own drummer. And so I've been a non-union talent my whole life. But like I always say, it doesn't mean I'm anti-union. If I were in Los Angeles, if I were in New York, I would be SAG-AFTRA. I don't think there'd be any two ways about it.
Right. I feel that you're really speaking my language here, because when you go online and you see voice artists that are trying to, get a leg up on their career and figure out what they're supposed to do, most of them are saying, how do I get an agent? How do I get it? And they're not really doing the steps in the proper manner. And you need to study first, but then you need to use these business practices that you speak about, J. Michael, in order to get your own traction. You've got to start booking. You've got to know what it feels like to book. You've got to know when your audition was in the pocket and you're really starting to tap into your true talent. And most people think it's about the agent. And I am back here in Los Angeles where so many voice actors are union, and yet they're starving. Why? Because they haven't instituted some of the business steps and practices that you're talking about. So what you bring to the table, in my opinion, it doesn't matter union, non-union. It's all the things that you need to do, because once you finally do get an agent, that's only part of the game. You've got to continue to get yourself work and be heard. And I do want to say, because I am as a producer, have produced several projects that I've tried to get forwarded here. And what's interesting is that you realize that Hollywood, as well as anything in the entertainment world, it's all based on failure. Because if things didn't fail, we would never have new programs. Many times voices get to be the voice of a show and they think, oh my God, it's going to run forever, but it doesn't. When it ends, whoever's coming along next, they don't want that voice that's so established with another brand. They want to find a new voice. So again, this is where, as John LaFontaine used to say, there's enough work for all of us. And now
there is. I think one of the great myths in the voiceover industry is that it's oversaturated with talent. It isn't. It's saturated with a lot of people who are hoping that they will be successful talent. But the number of people who can really do this job well is in the low thousands in the United States. And now new talent who have the chops and who go about it the right way and who go through the coaching process, get proper demos done, make the right contacts. If you're in LA, going to the right workshops, appearing in front of the right casting directors, the right agents, getting noticed, being visible. Those are the people who make it. But like you said about what Don LaFontaine said, it's very true. There is far more work out there than there is quality talent to do it. So if you've got the chops, there's just an abundance of opportunities waiting for you. And, you know, one of the cool things, I've got a couple of friends out in LA, guys like Mike Brang and Joe Zija and Bo Stevenson, who were non-union talent at the beginning of their career, who started out in online casting, who were meteorically successful, moved to LA or were in LA originally, went union, and now all of that non-union work that they had before, the work that qualifies, that's non-signatory work that qualifies based on union scale, they're converting it to union work via paymasters. So there are all sorts of different ways you can get into the business. And like Randy said, you know, like you said, it's the agents are one small part of it. You know, agents should be, you know, there are a few agencies out there where if you're locked in and if you're one of their go-to people, they can make your career for you. And that's a dream for a lot of talent. But for most people, agents might be 10, 15, 20% of their income. Having relationships with production companies might be 10, 15, 20% of their income. Their own marketing, 10, 15, 20%. Pay to play, 10, 15, 20%. Whatever it might be, there's so many different ways to make money. And whether you're union, non-union, or whatever, you can find a way to do it ethically, to do it honestly, to do it above board, to play by the rules, and still to be successful.
I think that is the missing key for so many union actors, is to figure out how to get into the online world where a lot of our business is being transacted, and they're just afraid they're going around the union. But no, you have shown me and told me, J. Michael, about the jobs that pay not only union scale, but in many cases, you're able to negotiate way above scale for yourself. So union talent that are qualified, that are great, could be doing and taking some of this work back and then putting it through a payroll company. And
a lot of the non-union narration work that's out there, the non-signatory narration work that's out there, non-union actors and people who are using online sites and finding it through their own marketing are often making many multiples of scale. I mean, my e-learning rates are 10 to 30 cents per word, which if you're a highly competent e-learning narrator and you're using outside editors, so you're not doing the editing work yourself and adding time, you're talking about $1,000 to $3,000 per seat hour for non-broadcast narration. That's anywhere from 2 to 7 times SAG-AFTRA scale. So, you know, there's quite a lot of money to be made. There's quite an abundance of work out there. And again, if you're LA, if that's what you want, if that's your dream and you want to be union, you want to be SAG-AFTRA, that doesn't mean you're excluded from that work. It just means it has to meet those minimum standards. And if it does, you can run it through a paymaster. It goes to your health, goes to your pension. You can be fully legal with it. So there's so many different ways to skin this cat.
And if you're negotiating jobs at that greater rate, well, the right thing to do anyway, if you have an agent, is to give your agent the 10%. Many times our agents are able to negotiate deals for us with a plus 10, so it's not coming out of our gross. But then I would say that when you do give your agents that 10% of work you found yourself, you're really a team player with your agency, you know, and you're telling them, look, I'm going to need to book out for this, so let me put this through you. It's on the books, even though X payroll company is the producer, right? So
if you're a new talent and you don't have representation, boy, these days, one of the best ways to get an agent is to walk in the door and say, hey, I've got this client that's paying me $80,000 a year for e-learning. Can I give you 10% of it, and can you rep me on this? I
don't understand why people don't think that way. I mean, I did that in 1993, just before I did my first Oscars. I went to, I didn't have an agent, so Don Buchwald was my first agent. Marla Bowden was my actual gal that I worked with directly. And I went to them and I said, look, I'm making all this money and I don't even have an agent yet. I would like to give you 10%. They called me within an hour. The phone rang. We'd love to have you, Randy.
Success talks, yes walks, right?
Exactly. So that's great. I love the perspective you bring to our industry. What's alarming you right now? Is there anything that's really gets you going when you think about what's going on?
Well, we can all go to the touch point controversies like Fiverr and things that are arguably undermining our industry. But I'll tell you, I did some research on Fiverr because I'm not a closed-minded person. I will, if I think there's a way to make money on something, I'll look at it. But after hearing the top talent on Fiverr, who, by the way, there's an amazing amount of work going through there. 10,000, 12,000 jobs for the people who are top on that site. Sounds good, right? But when the top talent are bragging that they're making $14 a job, the top talent, and there are only a handful of them, when you start to do the math, it's very clear that it really is a black hole. But I'll tell you what's more interesting to me right now, and I think is more important to my fellow talent, and that is to think about the future of the business. And when I got into online casting 6 or 7 years ago, a lot of people said, "Well, you're going to destroy your career. You're going to create a bad reputation for yourself." I said, "No, it can be done ethically. It can be done right. It can be done where, I mean, my average booking on pay to play is SAG-AFTRA scale or better. Okay, it can be done the right way. I like to see what's coming down the road. That was something that was coming 6 or 7 years ago. It's now a big part of our industry. The platform concept, whether or not it's the sites that we have now or something different, I hope that we can someday have a talent-funded nonprofit site that aggregates a lot of this work that works in our best interest. But whatever it may be, that's going to be something that's going to continue to grow. But what people should be looking at now is, where is the industry in 5, 10, 15 years? And one of the trends that I see, people see commercial rates declining. And it's not just online casting, okay, which the commercial rates on online casting have never been great. I got an agency audition recently for Motorola for buyout in perpetuity, all media, TV, radio, internet, and cinema for $1,500. And I almost fired an agent that day. But there's a reason this is happening, and it's not all of the hand-wringing things that we often think it is. It's because demographics are changing. Millennials, younger people, are not interested in being advertised to or pitched to in a traditional manner. So return on investment for commercial advertising is going down, and it's going to continue to go down. If you look at movie trailers today, trailer is on its deathbed. I mean, there are, 1 out of 5 trailers that you see at the theaters now has VO on it anymore. I used to do several big ones a year. I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 now. And it's not because I'm not in demand. It's just because it's not there anymore. Commercials, I know everybody says, "Oh, commercials will never go away," right? Well, wait 10 years and see what happens, because now, when's the last time, other than for your career, that you voluntarily watched a commercial? You've got streaming services, right? You've got TiVos and DVRs and everything else. When you have 15 years from now, a lot of driverless cars on the road, people aren't going to be listening to the radio. They're going to be on a device. They're going to be on their phone. Commercials, that side of the business is changing. And I think one of the great insights, Randy, that you have had this year for VOMastery is to create such an animation-centric and character-centric focus with an mind-blowing roster of people coming in. Tara Strong and Debbie Derryberry and Melissa Disney, Christina Malizia, unbelievable group of people. And that is what, I talked about narration, e-learning, corporate narration, explainers, that's exploding. Animation, video games, virtual reality, things people aren't thinking of right now.
Right.
These are 2 tracks that are going to continue to grow in the future. So start thinking about the baskets that you're putting your eggs in.
Absolutely. And for selfish reasons, I actually brought together all these animation stars: Jim Cummings, Jess Harnell, David Kay, who does a ton of video games, Tara Strong, E.G. Daly, Debbie Derryberry, Melissa Disney, and then and who's that? And James Arnold Taylor, who is my keynote address. I've seen James's show several times. And the most poignant part of his presentation is when he talks about losing his voice, because what's scarier for a voiceover artist? So that the inspiration that he will give us from the start of the day, and you're going to have to follow that act, J. Michael.
That's a tough act.
You're after him.
Now let's talk about business.
Exactly, but it is a business, and actually James Arnold is one of those people that really gets that it's a business. He is amazing at that, and that's why he's actually taken his show out on the road, and corporations hire him because they want to get the messaging out there to their employees that is being told in an entertaining and, passionate and a way that you're drawn to it. And to watch James Arnold do his characters and then hear his story, he's really got it down. So I'm really proud and excited, but I want to be a better commercial actor. I want to be a better actor. And that's why I want to tap into all these folks that know how to tap into the different levels of acting that you have to call upon to really bring characters to life. And then, of course, I'm doing what I normally do, which is big live award shows with Sylvia Viagran, who just did the Democratic Convention, Melissa, who did the Emmys, Joe Cipriano. I don't know. Well, he was actually on the road this summer as the announcer and
the tennis,
of his tennis team, right?
In style.
Exactly. Well, but he's not only the announcer; he's obviously part of the team. He's an entertainer, and that's what I love about Joe. And he has done his share of live broadcasts, and we're going to talk about that and how we have to take care of our voices and how we travel. And when you walk on the set of a major award show, what's expected? What do you have to do? And so we're going to give you the 411 on what really happens when you get chosen to be an announcer for a major show. And there are lots of places locally where folks can start and do that and use their voice to help charities and events in their hometown and develop those skills that will tell them how you can take that even further. So yeah, it's getting very exciting, J. Michael. I'm really thrilled that not only are you coming again to talk about business, but you helped me this year with I wanted to jump into this online situation as you've been talking. And I created all these industrial demos with you.
Right, and that was a blast. And I am very proud to have worked on that with you and to create some material that hopefully will find you booking in places that you maybe hadn't thought about before. And like we talked about, there's so many parts of this business to explore, and I was very proud to be a part of making those demos for you. I'm looking forward.
Thank you. And we're going to have Bob Merkel and VoiceZam, because I think that this particular player is the player of the future. You can skin it, make it look amazing on your website, and it gives you, the artist, the ability to manipulate and work with the tracks that you're putting up as your demos. When you want to change one out, or, oh, I don't like that so much second, let me put it next to last. And you can do that. You don't need to hire a producer or an editor to do this for you anymore. Now that once you get those pieces, piece by piece, they could come to you and have you direct a piece. They could come to me and have me and then they can incorporate that themselves into their VoiceZam demo easily and as often as they want. So I want to thank Bob Merkel and VoiceZam.
Bob's doing great work, and also some incredible SEO functionality with VoiceZam as well. So it's a very, very good service.
Good. I love when you talk about functionality and things like that. So go kiss your delicious son. Say hi to Anna.
I will. Thank you so much for having me back.
Thank you very much. We're just so pleased on a Friday night that you could spend a little time with us. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in 4 weeks here in Los Angeles.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody coming to VOMastery.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's J. Michael Collins. He has a lot to say. He is not only an incredible businessman and someone who is very passionate about voiceover work and how to do it properly and how to market yourself as a talent, but he's a really nice guy and super classy. We see he flies all over the world because he lives in Europe, and that is where his home base is, and that's where his wife and son are. So we're so happy that he actually comes across the pond to visit us. I know he's American, his family is here, but he's chosen to live over there, and he is as happy as can be. And when you meet J. Michael Collins, you will feel what a genuinely happy and grateful guy he is. He's fantastic. So thank you, J. Michael, for joining us. We look forward to having you live in person. Last week we had Debbie Derryberry on the show. She wrote Voiceover 101, how to succeed as a voice actor, something she has done quite well. And the book that you're seeing on the left side of the screen is my book, Voice for Hire. I don't know if anyone has had a chance to read it. It was co-written by Peter Rowe, who is a New York-based actor, voiceover artist, coach, and studio owner. And he now lives in Irvington. So he has a beautiful studio in Irvington that I had the pleasure of teaching at last year. But anyway, Voice for Hire is the book that we wrote, and it really is, it's a primer. It's very similar to Debbie's, although our books couldn't be more different, but essentially they're primers. They're all the basics you need to know to find your way in the world of voiceover. And there are so many great books out there. But these two have been signed, one by me, one by Debbie, and I would like to send it to you. You're going to get 2 books right now for the proper answer to a trivia question. The trivia question I have is, what 2 voiceover presenters from Voiceover Mastery appear in Monster High, the animated show Monster High? What 2 Voiceover Mastery presenters that we've been talking about are in Monster High? If you can get that answer done, Shovita, how do they submit their answer? How do we do this?
Good question, Rand. They can actually submit, for those that are actually listening online. If you can submit it through the chat, great, but we want to be fair to those that may be tuning in on the phone. So let's send all trivia question answers to VOMastery@gmail.com. Again, that's VOMastery@gmail.com with the right answer to Randy's trivia question, which is, Rand,
what 2 Voiceover Mastery presenters appear in Monster High? If you know the answer to that, we will be giving you a book. So you can submit that answer. Shovita will take all of the correct answers. She'll put them in a pile, and from that she will pull one winner that will receive both of these books. So Voiceover Mastery, we're just 4 weeks away from our last broadcast. We'll be in
we're
4
5
more
weeks away from the actual event. But yeah, 4 weeks until we finish our webinar series, but 5 weeks away. And tell us about who our special presenter is. You mentioned him early on, but for those that weren't in on the call earlier, Rand, tell us about who our special guest.
Well, Jim Cummings. I'm sure you guys know who he is. I remember him from Darkwing Duck. Of course, Winnie the Pooh. He's got so many characters. I'm sure half of our listeners tonight, Shovita, could probably tell me more about Jim Cummings than I know. All I know is that all of these special guest presenters that I have, Jim Cummings, Jess Harnell, Tara Strong, E.G. Daly, Melissa Disney, Debbie Derryberry, David Kay, they are all intertwined. You know, they live in this animation video game voiceover world, and they see each other all the time because whether it's through their agents or auditions or just staying together socially, there seems to be a connectivity between animation people that doesn't really exist as strongly with the rest of us. Maybe it's because when you're doing animation, you're really putting yourself out there, you know, you're creating characters and doing things that could be embarrassing to some people. Maybe that's why some people don't go after animation. Oh, I'm afraid I'll look silly. You know, most people want to stay in this space where they look good and everything is kind of cool. But really, I would say those that actually are willing to put themselves out there in a way that lets them just be vulnerable, but it's also in that space where they make magic happen, and these characters get created, and then they get to live with these characters for a long time. And then when they vocalize a character, even if we haven't heard it in 5 or 10 years, we're like, I know that, I remember you. Because when you do animation, something I've never done, you really do get to be a very special part of people's lives. People that love animation, it's usually because they grew up with it, and then they turn around and they want to give it to their children, you know. So I think that is, whoa, what did I just do to my screen? Did I change my screen show? Sorry, I'm playing with it. It's a little too far away. So there's Jim Cummings. How cute is he? He was recently at a party with Tara Strong,
Tara
which
Strong.
was, yeah, with a Phantom of the Opera party, and they sang. Maybe we can insert that, Shovita, into our playback of this. Can we find that little clip that Tara sent me of her and Jim Cummings singing together from
Of course.
Phantom? That would be amazing.
We've got our Q&A session up next while we've got a few more minutes before we close out, and I do see David Rosenthal is back on the line here with us again today.
What a guy. He's probably already had dinner with the family. It's, well, I don't know.
refrain from burping.
Have you eaten already? That's what I need to know, David.
Yes, I have. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're looking out for me, Randy.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. You know, it gets cool there in Northern California. Like, who was it that said the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco?
Yeah, it's something like that. It wasn't actually, I mean, it's been attributed
Hunter
to
Thompson.
Mark Twain. Mark
Oh.
Twain. But
Okay.
but I don't know if that was the exact phrasing of it. But yes, Mark Twain. Let's settle on him.
But I remember anytime I've been in Northern California, when the sun starts to go down, if you don't have a jacket, it gets really cold.
Right? Oh
It
yeah,
really
you betcha.
does.
Oh yeah,
You
that.
betcha.
And that's why I always thought it was funny when people come out to San Francisco as thinking it's Southern California, and they come out here in their little Hawaiian shirts and their shorts, and they're like they've got goose pimples like the size of golf balls. So yeah, it's just ridiculous.
I think
Hey,
that was
don't talk
Shovita
about me,
3 weeks
David.
ago.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't talk about me like that. I
Oh
honestly
no, no,
had
no.
different expectations, especially for this time of the year. I mean, I'm a Florida girl, so I need sunshine everywhere I go, and when it dropped anything below 70, I'm freezing.
Yeah.
It just
I'm
doesn't work.
sure. I'm sure. Hey, speaking of Florida, you okay out there? Everything okay?
We are okay, thankfully, and thanks for asking. I'm far
Sure.
enough west where we got, some mild weather,
Rain.
but my grandmother is further northeast Florida in Vero Beach, and they were hit pretty bad, but all is well, everyone's okay, and we're just sending prayers out to everyone
Yeah.
who was affected by Hurricane Matthew.
Yes.
And Shovita, does it appear like as if that hurricane is going to swing around and come back?
Ooh,
Are they
I would hope not, but I did see that there was actually another one brewing right behind Matthew. Nicole is on its way, apparently, but, this is normal for us, unfortunately, down here. This is hurricane season. Actually, it starts from June all the way up until the end of November, so I'm glad I get to escape here in a couple of weeks and head out
you'll
to
come
LA
see
for
us.
VOMastery. Yes.
Very good. Well, I'm looking forward to finally meeting David Rosenthal because,
Likewise.
yeah, I mean, David, you just have this really cool vibe, and I can see why you and Christina sort of connected at a very deep level. You were her friend and a coach. Is that how your relationship with Christina Milizia
That is
was
correct.
born?
Yep.
And
And a killer
she
laugh,
left you.
too, by the way.
What's that?
What?
I was just gonna say when you were talking about David, I still hear your laugh at times throughout the week because it's hilarious just to hear that laugh of yours. I just had
Thank
to
you.
talk on that Tuesday.
That's nice.
So we're so excited. We're talking about, my notes went away though, Shovita, in my computer. Maybe David has not, he's got the Zoom thing going for him.
If there are any,
Yeah, no worries about that.
yeah, no, this is fine. If there are any questions that are available right now for me to answer, I'd be happy to. Otherwise, I can answer the one from last week that we didn't get to. Whatever you'd like
good.
me to do.
If you
Sure,
would
go ahead.
answer the one from last week, David, because that was
Sure.
at the top of my list, and then we'll roll into another that we got for, and right on cue with what Randy and J. Michael were actually talking about with having an agent and the work that's involved. So I'm really excited to pitch that to you both. But yeah, let's pick up from last week what question we had. Did you remember what it was?
Yes, I certainly do. It was all about what do you do with nerves.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. So yeah, well, the way I view nerves is that your body is telling you that something important is going on, that you're actually quite excited about wanting to do well, and I look at that as a great opportunity. I think nerves are a good sign. I actually think that nerves mean that you actually care a lot about what's going on and that there's a certain excitement that you're going to be involved in whatever that is. There's also nerves also imply that you are going to have to surrender some of the control that our brains often want to have in a particular situation. We always want, and that's a good thing as well, frankly, because when you're voicing, when you're doing anything on camera, whatever, and you're performing, you need to let go of that control. You need to allow the surprises, the magic to happen, and that can't happen if you're trying to control everything or be, quote, right about things. So the magic of doing voiceover really well is allowing the moment to happen and relaxing into that. But the preface to that relaxation usually is nerves. But you can either like let the nerves get the better of you, and God forbid, you become speechless. Then maybe this is not the right profession for you. If every time you get nerves, you can't talk. But yeah, the idea here is that most performing artists will tell you that they use that nervousness, they use that general physical experience to propel them into an amazingly fun performance. So again, it's all about perception. You can either have those nerves come up and go, "Oh, good, they're here. That means all sorts of fun and interesting stuff is going to happen."
Right.
Or you can just be crippled by it. And again, if that tends to be where you come to every time you do this, then it doesn't think about doing something else where that won't come up for you.
Well, let's be honest though. I mean, the nerves, everyone has them if they admit to it, but it's, do you let it get the better of you? If you prevented it from letting you have that career, Barbra Streisand would have never performed or recorded an album because she is that terrified. So, but in what you're talking about, David, I think preparation is everything. When I do live shows, like my first Academy Awards to the 18 Tony Awards and to the upcoming Environmental Media and Kennedy Center honors that'll be happening, I'm always nervous, always. But at least I've rehearsed it the best I can. I may not have been able to rehearse every aspect of what I might say, and I am nervous and I'm like shaking almost, but that's why I meditate just before, in that last hour before I am about to go live. I'll decide this is where I need to really get calm. The final hour is the craziest time in a live show, and that's when I decide to sit back, do a meditation, find my happy place, my centering place, and it doesn't mean that I'm not nervous anymore. It just means that I have addressed my nerves, and I'm like, okay, you're here, great. Let's have a party.
And that's the best. That's the best that anybody can do, frankly. I mean, and I think it helps for this person who asked this question to know that the best of us, the people who are getting work all the time, the people who are getting work some of the time, all of us who are performing artists, if we never had nerves, I think something would be wrong, frankly. Again, I think that nerves is your way of connecting to something exciting and important. And yeah, and that means that things are good, that you're in a place where you care that much to make good things happen. So,
I love that.
Yeah, so that's
Got
another question, Shovita?
Yeah, please.
We do, while we have some time. Our last question. It says, I'm fortunate enough to have a great agent. However, can you talk about the advantages and disadvantages? I know that's probably...
Of having an agent?
Yeah. Advantage and disadvantage of having an agent.
Well, in my career, there has been no disadvantage to having an agent.
Well, maybe, wait a minute, David. What if you're locked into an that you're not crazy about, or a
Well,
relationship that
that's
you're not
right.
crazy about,
Okay,
but you've
okay.
signed an agreement and you're locked in?
Right. Well, first of all, if I ever sign with an agent, it's not like, oh, goody, 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 somebody wants me. It's, do I like them too?
Mhm.
Um, there have been too many people who just get so excited that somebody wants to sign them. They do, and then they get lost in the shuffle in a rather big agency where if they don't produce right away, they get put on the back burner, and then they're like twiddling your thumbs. You're right. You're right. That I have not personally had that situation, thank God.
Right.
But yes, I would say that uh, if you get into an agency situation, don't sign a 4-year contract or a 3-year contract. I mean, let them know that you want to test the waters with them as much as they do with you.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, a year and a half contract, I wouldn't even go out too much more than that. I think is not it, that the pros are a lot greater than the cons with that one, because a year and a half is not the be all and end all with an agent. You can easily move in that amount of time to something else, and while you're maybe not getting the kind of work you would want with an agent like that, that doesn't stop you from finding all sorts of other avenues to get some work under your belt,
Right.
to the point where you can shop yourself to another agent in if, and a lot of times these days there will be opt-out clauses in contracts where either you or the other agent can opt out if a certain amount of work hasn't happened on either end.
Right. But here's the thing. On the for a
Just a
union
note,
actor,
Fran.
yes,
I'm
darling.
sorry to interrupt, but I actually have the person who asked this wanted to add they were asking about the advantages and disadvantages of signing with a voiceover manager, which I think you've already addressed.
Oh,
Sorry, I was just
well, no,
reading
no,
that.
no. See, but that's very different, Shovita. A manager,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
two completely different things. So just quickly about the agent. If you're union and you have a new agent, they can only sign you for a year,
Right.
for the first year. Then when
Right.
that first year is done, they can, I think 3 years is the max. I don't
Right. Is the
think
max.
they
It's
can do.
true. Although it
And you
used to
know
be
what?
4.
Right. And I went through a period of time where I would only re-sign for another year,
Mm-hmm.
because I felt that, if you re-sign for 3, you can get lost, right?
That's
So
true.
my thought was, well, if I only re-sign for a year, it's going to keep them on better behavior. They'll be a little more proactive for me. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, your relationship with an agent, it's a business plan, and it's part of your business plan and you're part of theirs. And as long as you work together well, it can take time sometimes to build a career. But if you are a happening artist and you have talent and people are telling you and you're booking, then you've got to know that you are an asset for your agent. Your agent can be a tremendous asset for you. And if you hang in there and work with them long enough, they can actually help you build an incredible career, by being, they're the gatekeepers to the work, really. If you
I've been with my agent for 26 years now, so.
You're one of those guys, though, David. I can tell you're loyal. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm not loyal. I'm
Right.
just saying that I move where the opportunities,
Oh, of course. Of course.
right?
Of
Yeah.
course.
So,
Yeah.
but I've been with Atlas. They're my longest agents, and
Right.
there
Yeah.
was a time when they were only East Coast, and you needed a West Coast agent. But now that Atlas is on East and West Coast, it's a pretty amazing situation, because they are the tops in their field, in my opinion. I am.
Oh, they're great. They're great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, were we
You were
going to
going to
take
mention,
on?
Rand, there was a difference between a voiceover manager and
Oh,
agent, 'cause that was a
right, right. So then the managers, an agent can only take 10% of what they book for you, right? A manager, if you take on a manager, say, and most managers don't really want you unless you already have a body of work and you're working and you've got income, they get 10% of your income. Say you bring them on, you say you're making $100,000 a year, and you decide to bring on a manager. That manager wants 10% of that. even though they didn't book you one of those jobs, they want 10% of that because they feel that they're going above and beyond what your agent can do because they're not held to the same restrictions that franchised agents are. And so they say they're going to go over and above for you, and so they don't just hold at the 10% of work they book for you. They want 10% across the board. So that's a big decision. I have a lot of friends who have signed with agents, with managers rather, because they felt it would work for them. Maybe for a short time it does, but then if you're not really making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's not going to work for you because it's just taking too much money out of what you could be putting on the table for your family. Am I right, David?
Completely. I really feel that there are only very specific situations in which a manager can actually work for you well. I would easily go without one, just because if you can become the kind of business person that J. Michael's going to hopefully tell you how, help you out here, and when he's speaking for VOMastery, if you can put on that business hat and not depend on other people to do that for you, you can make that income yourself and not have to share it with people. So there are a few exceptions, cases where, as you said, there's a large business of booking that you've already done that you can bring to the table and they can shop that around for you. But otherwise, I don't know. I haven't had one.
Yeah, and you know what? When you have a great agent, you really shouldn't need more than that.
Right.
And once David and Christina talk to you and they get you all amped and excited about your voiceover career in person at Voiceover Mastery, when J. Michael Collins can show you how else you can make money, when all of our animation celebrities and Joe Cipriano and Sylvia, when I do my live announce and promo panel, hopefully we're going to cover enough of the industry for you from the top, everyone that's they've got a really significant living in this industry. And as I talked about it last week, David, my husband's favorite expression, experience is cheapest if you're smart enough to get it secondhand. So
I
love that.
There you go.
And I love that laugh of yours, David.
He does have a great... Hey, are we going to get Christina? I know she's traveling.
Yeah,
Are we going to get
she
her on one of our Friday nights?
Yeah, 2 weeks from now.
Excellent. I think we're going to have Joe Cipriano 2 weeks from now as well.
I'll just bump him. So anyway, what was I going to say?
Tell him you said that.
Thank you, Joe. I love you. Okay, so keep those questions coming in for next week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very
Send
good.
them to Shavita.
Send them to Shovita. She will be asking questions. I encourage everyone, if you're thinking about coming to Voiceover Mastery, there is a limit on seats for Friday, but for those of you that are also looking for that extra experience in studio, hands-on, recording time at Media City Sound, that's the Thursday night event, and that is 5 hours of information that you will not get anywhere else, I promise you. And so you have to be part of our Voiceover Mastery attendees in order to even want to do this Thursday night thing. And so I encourage you to get in on it because I understand we're selling out. So it's very exciting.
Such a deal.
Such a deal.
Yeah.
Very nice, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Next week, I guess we're going to be announcing our auditions as well that are only available to our attendees. Is that right, Rand and David?
Correct. We have auditions for a new hot app. It's centered in Hollywood. It's all about celebrities in Hollywood. It's an app. These guys have created something that is off the charts, and they're looking for voices for this app. And it's definitely a little more millennial-driven, so definitely hip, young voices. Now we also have opportunities from one of the original creators of Shark Tank is the production company that has come to us, and right now they're all gearing up. In January, there are big conferences. There's one in Miami, and then there's one in Washington if you're a producer and you're selling your TV shows. And so they need 3 sizzle reels. So we are going to cast a male voice and a female voice for this company's sizzle reel. It could be a game show, it could be a reality show, it could be a show with other kinds of content. I haven't seen the copy yet, but that's what we're going to put out there. These are all jobs that are auditions that you as the attendee can win if you're attending Voiceover Mastery. They actually pay money for these jobs if you win them. So you could arrive a winner. You won't know if you're a winner because we're not going to announce them until Friday afternoon on 11/11. So you'll have to see us here in California to find out if you won the audition, but I guarantee you everyone is going to get an equal shot. David will be one of our judges. We've got Julie Falls. A lot of our pros are actually volunteering to judge and listen to these auditions so that we can narrow them down in the few weeks that we have left.
And Randy, what about us older folks? Is there going to be anything for us?
Absolutely. We're talking narration, we're talking commercials, we're talking characters, and guess what? If you're not old, you can sound like you're old, just like David did. So.
Oh, you're such a sweetie.
Yeah, I don't do baby voices, otherwise I'd come back with a baby voice. I could do a little kid, though. I could do a little kid. I don't know. I don't really sound like a little kid. I sound like somebody who's trying to sound like a little kid. See, this is why I don't do this, David.
Oh, this is why I don't do this either.
There you go. So
right.
2 semi-professionals messing around on this Friday night. Next week we'll have 2 absolute professionals. We'll make them do those old people in baby voices like they're supposed to be done, David.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So the trivia question tonight for the 2 books, Voice for Hire and Debbie Derryberry's Voiceover 101, is what 2 Voiceover Mastery presenters appear in Monster High? Go ahead. Shovita said info@Voiceover Mastery will give you a place to send your answer. All the correct answers will go into a hopper and we'll pull out a name. We're going to give away more books next week, and let's see, maybe we'll give away a dinner to a local restaurant or something next week so that we can do something
Or
fun.
even better, Ran, I think I'd like to give away a seat to VO Mastery next week. What do you think about that?
What? We're giving away a
That'll be
seat?
good. Yeah, let's give away a seat.
Okay. Shovita's the
Let's
boss.
do it.
She's telling me we're giving away a seat, so please tell your friends. Tune in next week because we're giving away a seat. I want to thank you all for joining us on your Friday night. I know you had a million things you could have done, and even if you're listening in the playback and didn't watch us live, that's okay. We love you. We look forward to seeing you at Voiceover Mastery. Thank you so much to David Rosenthal, GVAA, and everyone that is coming together to make this the most happening event in Los Angeles.
We're getting excited.
Have a great weekend, and to all our Jewish friends, Lashana Tova.